studied just a handful of women when I was in school, and so women were really not a focus, and yet I was very blessed to have parents who always told me that I could do anything that I wanted to do. So that ends up being a big contradiction for young women when they're hearing that in the home and then they go out into the world, and that's not exactly the message the world sends back. So I worked on flight attendant issues as a lobbyist for a number of years, and that meant working on workplace issues, but a lot of those issues had to do with the equality of, or lack of equality for flight attendants and that particular job. So it was when I was working on that I learned about this effort to move a statue in the Capitol. It's a statue of the three founders of the suffrage movement: Elizabeth Cady Stanton, Susan B. Anthony, and Lucretia Mott. That statue was carved in 1921, and it was offered to Congress. The all-male Congress at the time did not want the statue, but women had just gotten the vote the year before. So the organizers kept pushing Congress, and they finally accepted the statue. It was dedicated in the Capitol Rotunda, and the very next day it was moved downstairs to the basement. And it was left in the basement for 76 years. So there was an effort in 1995 to get that statue back up into the rotunda. Women's groups were going to Congress and saying, this statue belongs in our nation's rotunda, because at that point we had no women in the rotunda, all men. And so Congress once again would not move the statue upstairs. So this is when I got involved, and I actually heard about this effort to move that statue back upstairs, and the woman who came up with the idea for this museum said, this is what happens to women's history. Said it comes to the light of day, and then it's stuck downstairs, and it's in the archives, or it's in the crypt, which is the name of that room where it was put, the crypt, the land of the dead, the crypt, and that it doesn't become part of our national story. And so I read about this effort, and I didn't know who the women suffrage leaders were because I'd never studied them, but it ticked me off that Congress wouldn't put a woman in the rotunda. So that was really my turning point of getting involved. I've been working on this museum now for 20 years. And certainly early on, I would have male members of Congress say, well, where's the men's museum? I mean, they would say it just like that. I mean, I'm mimicking them. Where's the men's museum? And I would say, it's right down on the mall. It's called Smithsonian. They wouldn't say much after that. But it became so clear how little, particularly the men, knew about women's history, and how it's such a major part of our nation's story. People often don't even know the questions to ask. They don't know about the stories. When they start learning or hearing about the stories, they get inspired, and the women say, I sit up straighter and I stand taller because I'm proud to be a woman who has had such an impact on our nation. But we don't know these stories.
You've just listened to an audio clip from the Samuel Proctor Oral History Program's diverse collection of oral history interviews as part of our 50 Years, 50 Faces fundraising campaign. In the last 50 years since the program's founding in 1967, SPOHP has collected over 7,000 interviews, as well as provided equitable fieldwork opportunities for students. To support our program's mission to document the voices of people from all walks of life, visit our donation page through the link in the description, or visit our website at oral.history.ufl.edu. That's oral.history.ufl.edu. SPOHP. One community, many voices.